What's going on, everybody? How about unlocking a new area? Thought we could head to the Emprise du Lion and see what's going on there. We were kind of pointed in that direction by some stuff left behind by the Venatori. Essentially, this is where all the missing people have gone. All those empty cages we saw, this is where all those people went, I think. And there's some kind of operation going on here with the Red Templars. And where you have Red Templars, you have Red Lyrium. And so I'm sure all that's connected. But where you have Red Lyrium, I think I'll bring Varric. He likes to destroy that crap when we find it. Considering we're pretty close to the Exalted Plains, I'll probably bring Solus along too. These will probably be ancient elven grounds. Maybe he'll have something interesting to find. Who knows?
Inquisitor.
Scout Harding.
Scout Harding.
We're on the outskirts of Sarnia. This is what's left of the town. The lucky ones got out before the river froze over. The rest, penned in by Fade Rifts and Red Templars. We're the first friendly face they've seen in a long, long while.
How did an entire river freeze so quickly?
It got really cold, really quickly. Sarnia relies on its river for everything. Trade, food. They weren't expecting this.
Do you know why the Red Templars have come here?
Can't tell you much. The Templars have outposts all through the hills. Our scouts haven't been able to get through. It probably has something to do with the local stone quarry, though. A lot of the workers went missing after the Red Templars moved in.
I should look in on the townsfolk, see what they can tell me.
I'm sure they'll appreciate it. The Red Templars have been mounting frequent attacks. They want Emprise du Lion. Bad. Let's get out there and take it back from them.
Alright, so she paints a picture of the town here. The country's already being ravaged by war from within and without. You know, you got the Civil War going on. You have Fade Rifts popping up everywhere. Friggin' Red Templars knocking at your door every 2 seconds and what have you. And then on top of that, their only lifeline is this river, and it snap froze.
This could help us.
And I don't think that's a coincidence. Well, it may be, but whatever. It couldn't come at a worse time. And so this town, this area essentially is ripe for the picking. There's really there's no defenses. And yeah, I'm sure this is going to unfold pretty ugly, actually. But you can see that the town's just a wreck.
What a waste.
I wonder if he meant a waste as in these are elven lands, and if the humans are going to take it, they might as well have done something with it, waste. Or if he means waste by simply the fact that it's just become a wreck. Or maybe a little of both. Solus can be cryptic at times, to say the least. We read here that the local quarry was unprofitable.
Thank you, madame.
Apparently, what they were mining and selling, nobody was buying, or something along those lines. So they were probably already in bad shape anyway. And you're a trading town and you don't have anything to trade. That can, yeah, that can end badly. Now, like how other little codexes will just give life to the world just with little funny stuff,
Oh, how could you have dropped it? Foolish, clumsy girl. Mama trusted the ring to you when she died.
Okay, come on, guys. Is that a reference to Lord of the Rings? Was that an Easter egg right there? I mean, seriously, the way she was talking, kind of in, what, third person to herself or whatever? Was that? I don't know. I'm no Lord of the Rings aficionado or anything. I've seen the movies, read the books and stuff. I mean, I'm a fan, but that sure sounded similar to Gollum to me.
Now the Templars will get it bad, Templars. Demons with trusted faces.
Okay, it is. That's a freaking Easter egg, a Lord of the Rings Easter egg. That is awesome. The bad Templars with the trusty faces. Templars is steal the rings is. Okay, it's gotta be a Lord of the Rings reference. I have to admire when any developer will take the time to script in something that's kind of a tip of the hat in respect to you know, things that have influenced them along the way. I mean, you know, you talk about something epic like that in the, you know, fantasy genre, and, you know, even old sci-fi and stuff like that, when they make the little subtle references, just showing that, you know, they were influenced by that. I mean, every artist, every writer, every musician or whatever is influenced by somebody or something along the way. It's, you know, one story is usually made up of lots of little stories. And so I always get a kick out of people giving credit where it's due.
Michel de Chauvin at your service, your worship. I saw the Inquisition's banners from afar. Never expected to see the Herald of Andraste herself.
Sir Michel de Chauvin? Empress Celine's champion?
No longer a champion. No longer, sir.
Michel de Chauvin? I know your story. You were disgraced and banished from court for treachery.
There's much more than that, but it ends the same way. What does it matter? Despite all, I have a strong arm, a stout heart, and I still serve Ole.
Are you here to guard the people?
As much as I can, although this was not my original intention. I hunt a demon. This one calls itself Imshale, and has settled in Suladin Keep, up in the hills. Imshale is free because I made a mistake. I will see him destroyed. Now that the Inquisition is here, perhaps the Red Templars who guard the keep can be routed. All I need is one chance.
I need to know more about Imshale.
A desire demon, more cunning than anything I have encountered. And I have played the game. Imshale has roamed the land for some time. If anything, he will have grown in power. Why he is here in Emprise du Lion, however, is anyone's guess. Perhaps he has gained the cooperation of the Red Templars, or vice versa.
What's in Suladin Keep?
Red Templars, so far as I can tell. Suladin is an elven fortress, left to crumble. The locals always avoided it, believing it the haunt of ancient elven spirits.
You know where the demon is. Why wait?
I am but one man. Suladin Keep is guarded by Red Templars. While I would happily give my life for this, I would not give it in vain.
You could serve the Inquisition. We have use for strong arms and stout hearts.
No, not until Imshale is defeated.
No doubt, man. Strong arm, strong heart, loyal, honest, humble, confident.
I would rather not linger here.
And hell, the fact that he got crossed out in court politics probably meant he's a good guy and was crossing somebody who was corrupt. I may be wrong about that, but I would give him the benefit of the doubt, such a thing. Court politics aren't something I would hang my hat on. They're usually a bunch of rotten people doing rotten things to one another. Just proving who can be the most rotten. I don't know. All in the name of governing the people. Wow, just insanity. But, yeah, I'd take a dude like that any day. Seems pretty cool to me. Celine's loss is my gain, right? Now, I won't cover all my exploring and stuff. In fact, I'll cut out quite a bit of the just wandering around picking up materials. I'll be looking for new things here. Close a few fade rifts and what have you. Establish some camps, but, mostly to be a bit of this, running into small bands of Red Templars and destroying their red lyrium crystals for Varric. He seems to like to do that. There is a, one of Cassandra's targets is here, though. One of those, renegade Templars or mages or somebody that she has a problem with. She's going to make the world a better place by ridding the world of them or something. So we'll go help her with that. Now, I don't know if Sarnia is a play on Narnia either, with the perpetual freeze or whatever. That was, kind of reminded me of when I got here. If I find a, what do they call it? Not a pan, but a little goat guy playing a flute somewhere, even a statue of one, then I'll know. I'll know the reference to that is there too. I wouldn't doubt they would throw all that kind of stuff in here. I mean, like I say, give credit where it's due. amazing things that influence you along the way to inspire you to write great things.
My little brother of the war, and now my sweet little death.
The Inquisition. That was generous of you.
I do what I can. I am partly to blame for all this. The Red Templars are here because, fool that I am, I sold them my family's quarry. They've taken every worker. We haven't seen them in weeks. And it's not enough. They keep coming, taking more people. And there's nothing I can do to stop them.
How could you have sold land to the Red Templars?
I didn't know. I swear by Andrastre's spire. They look like knights, chevaliers. Such pretty speeches. They said they would reopen the quarry, bring employment and trade back to Sanya. We'd been struggling since the war began. How could I refuse? It was good for a time. People went to work, they were paid. Then they stopped coming home. After that, the Red Templars stopped pretending.
What do you mean the Red Templars take workers?
People just disappear. First those who worked the quarry, then they took people from their homes. I don't know why. I just prayed they'd leave me and my family alone.
Well, I know from playing Mass Effect that when people are leaving and not coming back, that yeah, it's not ending well for them. Let's just put it that way. And I'll tell you what, lady, you can blame yourself all you want and feel as bad as you want, but if you didn't sell it to them, they would have took it anyway. The reason they at least made the gesture of pretending to buy it, with their own agenda in mind, of course, is probably to A, keep you from blowing the whistle, right? And most importantly, B, for convenience, if nothing else. They could have taken it if they wanted. You guys don't have any defenses. You're starving, weak. No soldiers, no nothing to... Yeah, they can just walk through. Why they're putting up the pretense, I'm not sure. That's really my only question, is why the Red Templars just don't come in and just hog everybody. Maybe they want to keep everybody at peace and healthy or something. But yeah, she doesn't need to feel guilty. She was gonna lose the mine and everything else regardless. The fact that she hasn't yet says a lot for her, actually. Now, this kind of brings up a point. Actually, something really important to talk about, in my opinion. The story with this lady, and actually, I know a bit about it, how it's going to kind of play out with her, and it's a case of, and BioWare's infamous for this, and I'll tell you, other games are too, even like Fallout and Elder Scrolls and Mass Effect, what have you. There are a lot of times where you will think you are doing the absolute right thing until you talk to the last person in a quest line, or read some book, or listen to some person, or I don't know, you find something in a chest that you can only unlock if you have a certain skill to unlock it. Other than that, you won't even be able to check it out. But if you do and you read it, you find out that what you thought was right was wrong all along, or vice versa. Where you thought, oh shit, this is a bad thing, I messed up, you actually find out you did the right thing. Because the person you were protecting all along was actually a murderer, child molester, rapist, freak, serial killer, or something, or vice versa. You know, the person that you thought was evil all along was really the good guy, helping everybody out. Maybe at a cost, right? Sometimes there are gray areas. Sometimes you have to choose the lesser of two evils. And BioWare is infamous for making you make these moral decisions where it's that gray area, and it comes down to you. Where do you stand, and how much have you investigated? You'll get back what you put into it. That's most of the time, is the amount of effort you put into research and studying and exploring and adventuring and discovery, right, is where dictates the rewards you get, how much you learn. Whether you actually find out you made a right decision or not, or whether you're still left afterwards going, I wonder if I did the right thing. If that thing is nagging at the back of your head, most likely you missed reading something or talking to a particular somebody or investigating far enough into a particular thing to find out the deal. And that leads me to a point I'd like to make about RPG gaming, and I don't want to be like the RPG doomsayer, you know, or whatever, the prophet of doom, you know, saying that, you know,
Now that they are disbanded,
Oops,
the
hold on.
Templars are unlikely to pose a threat to apostate mages.
I expect you are correct.
I thought you would be pleased.
I will be pleased when the world we share is not threatened by a blight-corrupted madman. Regardless of who was responsible, the conflict between Templars and mages helped Corypheus rise to power. We cannot afford to let political infighting distract us from our duty.
Agreed. When it is done, I promise what you have done here will not be forgotten.
Thank you, Seeker. I think.
Yeah, Cassandra, that's not going to stop political infighting or stop them from sweeping Solus under the rug if it's convenient to someone's political agenda. I can tell you that. People are going to do what they do. But, yeah, I don't want to be a doomsayer for RPGs, but I do see a direction that RPGs are going in general, and I would use, but I can even point a little bit at Inquisition, and I don't want to say that, because I love this game in almost every respect. But I see a dangerous pattern developing, and though it's hidden really well under a lot of polish in Inquisition, it's still somewhat there. And that is dumbing down, for lack of a simpler term, dumbing down games to bring in a wider audience, right? Every time you do that, you sacrifice the exact things that brought your core fan base in the first place. You may get a few quick extra bucks, right? And you may lead to a more profitable franchise, but one that is worse for wear because and this bodes badly for I guess the general population in general when you think of it this way. But let's say you have a lot of action gamers who are not acclimated to RPGs. RPG-style gameplay, getting immersed in an environment, talking to NPCs, going through lots of dialogue, studying, learning about the world, and getting into that. There's some people that just don't enjoy that. That's not their thing. They think it's tedious. That's like work. It's boring, right? And so to entice them, you spruce up the combat and you do a lot of other things. That might bring some of them in for the fighting. But then you get this, and I have actual evidence to support where I'm coming from here, where I'm basing this off of, is you can go to forums and you can read two different people's opinion on this game, and you will get things as far from the east is to the west like this. You'll hear one person say, wow, the game's too short, and you'll hear another person say, I've got 165 hours on my last playthrough and I didn't see even half of it. And you're like, how can you be talking about the same game so separately? Oh, here's Cassandra's target here. So get rid of these mages for her. Actually, these would probably be higher level mages, right? But how can you get to such conflicting opinions of the exact same game? You know, unless, of course, one person's just trolling, you know, just you know, making flame comments just, you know, to start an argument or something. But you have people who honestly just are like, well, the game's boring, the game's shallow, the game has no content. You have another person, like such as me, who has, you know, I don't know, 100 hours in, you're not even halfway through the game yet, and you're like, how can you say that we're not talking about the same game? What you're probably dealing with there, and this isn't an insult or criticism. This is just stating a fact. Is you're probably dealing with an action-minded gamer, such as someone who normally might play a game like Call of Duty or something, where you're used to going in and playing a 5-minute match, being done with it, getting out, getting your stats, you win, you lose, put in another quarter, start over, right? And I get that. That's fun for a lot of people. Obviously, Call of Duty is a popular game, right? But it's as far as the East is from the West. When it comes to RPGs, they're two completely different genres. This isn't, and to that same effect, this isn't a racing game. It's not a puzzle game, although there's some puzzle elements involved. But I'm just saying, it's not those genres of game. This is an RPG. This would, to fill its role as an RPG, require that one explore and do much crafting and put a lot of thought into character builds and, you know, strategy and this and that. And the better RPGs ask a lot more of you, right? And that's really what it boils down to, is action games ask nothing of you, essentially. Is you can be pretty mindless. You'll need to understand basic shooter concepts. You may be required to even have a little bit more as far as dexterity and accuracy goes. You know, shooting skills and things like that. The really good Call of Duty players, quick reflexes, doing their things, knowing all the spots, running routes, running patterns, being extremely familiar with the map. They have their own skill set, right? And this doesn't take anything away from that. But that is a completely different thing, you know. You can have a master chef and someone who makes nuclear bombs. Neither is less skilled at what they do, but neither one can probably do what the other does, for example, unless they're you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they're just two completely different things. No better, no worse, just different. When you try to incorporate a whole other genre of player, a whole other, you know, class of game player into your genre, right, and you entice them with things that are geared towards what they do, you're taking away from what you do. What makes an RPG special? What, you know, in Origins, where you had to earn things, you couldn't become a Reaver or a Blood Mage unless you did these particular things and unlocked these particular things and made hard choices, and so on and so forth. In Oblivion, you could not enchant your first weapon until you went through 9 miles of hell with the Mages Guild through every city in Cyrodiil, right? Doing all this stuff, some of it funny, some of it hard, some of it tedious, some of it confusing, but you did not, you know, you were run through this gauntlet, you had to earn it, and once you got it and you could enchant your first fire, lightning, shock, absorb health, make zombies flee in terror, sword or mace or axe or whatever the hell you were using, right? Once you made that first weapon, you earned that. That was yours, right? But that's an RPG element, right? In other genres, it's I beat a time trial in a racing game, so I get better tires on my car. It's a different thing. If you're in a shooter game, I killed more of you than you killed me, so I prestige faster. So I eventually get to my 10th prestige, which doesn't mean a damn thing because, shit, all it is a different symbol. The game still plays the same, you know. But RPG, you actually play the role of a character in an environment, and you learn about that world, and you interact with that world as if you're that character. The better the RPG, the deeper that system is going to be. The more in-depth the combat system is going to be, and the combat mechanics, the more in-depth the NPC interaction and the crafting, right? And making your own gear and optimizing and maximizing your own gear to fight within certain elements. There's a lot more stuff to it that is amazing fun for an RPG fan and mind-numbing, boring tedium to someone who's not an RPG fan. So when you try to make an RPG more desirable for someone who's not an RPG fan, you have to take away the RPG elements, and you have to dumb it down and plasticize it. You have to make it cheap. You have to cheapen it. And I say cheapen it because you're taking away from what it was. That's like taking a shooter and trying to turn it into an RPG. What do you get? You get a friggin' RPG, and you lose your shooter fans who just want to go in there and kill something. Damn it, I don't want to level and look at all this shit and figure out whether I need to use wool or leather on my friggin' armor and blah, blah. Just give me a gun and let me go kill something. I have friends like that. That's how they like to play. They have no mind for RPG stuff. They don't care. It holds no interest to them. It's not fun, right? Some artists are impressionists. Other artists are surrealists. Other artists are landscape artists. Other artists are portrait artists. Some artists are cartoon artists. Some cartoon artists are anime artists. Which one's better than the other? They're completely friggin' different. Doesn't really matter. None's better or worse. They're totally separate, right? So when you try to combine those things, you're going to take away from one or the other, or from both, and just come up with this plastic mass of meaningless nothing, you know? And I see games going that way. I'll give you a perfect example, and I could probably get berated by some for this, but if you're a huge Oblivion fan, right, even going back to Morrowind, which I'm not familiar enough with Morrowind to speak knowledgeably on that, but I can speak well on Oblivion, is there were a lot of things, a lot of the elements which were rewarding to the player. Not just things you had to earn, but things you had to learn about the game to become familiar with it and to make the environment you were exploring more alive, more realistic, more meaningful, more in-depth, more personal to the player, to make you part of it. In Skyrim, the questing and the stuff became shallow. The stuff that had the most meaning was the stuff that was identical to what you still had from Skyrim. But many things were cheapened. The whole leveling thing was kind of dumbed down. A lot of things were given to you. Hell, you step off the cart and you're what, level 1 or level 2, walking out of a cave. The first inn you step into, you can immediately enchant shit and make potions and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? You don't have to go get all the things you need to make potions? You don't have to earn the right to enchant? You don't even have to learn to be a mage? You just instinctively know how to step up to a table and make a fire sword or whatever? In fact, I know how to unmake a fire sword, so I can make a fire sword out of anything. What kind of shit is that? You're not earning anything. Another perfect example for Dark Souls fans is Dark Souls 2. Where you used to have to fight like 11 mini-bosses and go through an area that if you stepped 1 foot to the left or to the right, you were immediately dead and lost all your shit, right? Now, all of a sudden, you walk around the block and there's a merchant there selling all that in-game shit. You can have it for 10 souls. Really? Really? I don't have to earn this? Well, guess what it means if you don't have to earn it? It doesn't mean shit. A rich kid driving a Porsche wrecks his Porsche and he says, I'll buy another one. A poor man who's never been behind the wheel of a Porsche in his life gets a Porsche? Oh, that's his prized possession for life. It means what you paid for it, right? How much did you have to give? How hard did you have to work for it? That's where the value comes in. And an RPG fan gets that, all right? That means something. And to an RPG fan, that's not work. That's fun. That's not tedium. In fact, the less of it, the worse. The more of it, the better. Give me more stuff to craft with. Give me more skills to learn. Give me more choices to make to where if I get this, I have to sacrifice that. Right? And so enough gain and enough sacrifice in just the right areas, I can make a really good character, or I can make a really good build. And then when you introduce team dynamics into Dragon Age, then it's taking it to a whole new level. Now I get to level all my characters, not just my guy, but everybody. I get to level Varric as if I was playing him. In fact, shit, I can play as Varric if I want to. That's awesome. But then what do? Well, tactics were kind of hard, so we'll just make tactics, so we'll just let the AI do it for you. Now I don't have to set team tactics anymore. Behavior is do what I do or don't do what I do. That's it? Wait a minute. You're going in a direction that is dumbing down and taking away from one of the things that makes your game great. Don't do that to make a few extra dollars. Sacrifice what made your game wonderful in the first place. If someone goes to Arby's, it's not to buy a Big Mac. All right? Don't try to sell Big Macs at your Arby's along with your roast beef sandwiches. Just do what you do and let them do what they do. If you walk into a country bar and you hear a black metal band up there on the stage, you're going to throw bottles at them and boo them off the stage and tell them to get the hell out of your country bar. Where's my Hank Williams? And vice versa. You go into a club where they play nothing but death and thrash metal and stuff like that, and you hear Hank Williams get up there, he's going to get some bottles thrown at his ass too. Get out of my club. Why are you playing that twang shit here? I don't want to hear it. Well, video games really aren't any different. If I'm coming to play an RPG, do not give me a hack and slash weak-ass action game where I have nothing to discover, nothing to explore, nothing to learn, nothing to earn. All right? But if I'm coming to play a shooter game, don't give me an in-depth RPG with swords and magic. That's not what I came for there either. In other words, know your role and do that. So anyway, it's just a real dangerous direction that the developers are going in order to earn the extra almighty dollar, which, I know you're in business to make a profit, you have to be, but I can't believe that Dragon Age, as it is in its pure form, wouldn't earn enough to justify its own existence to where, I'd rather have a work of art that's going to go down and have a legacy as having created a masterpiece than do a bunch of cheap-ass screen prints that look good for a second and might sell for a dime a dozen now, but a year from now won't be worth shit. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to lump Dragon Age into that, but if it follows that direction, the direction of profitability as opposed to quality, then it's going to ruin itself. Elder Scrolls the same way. I'm seriously almost scared of where Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be, because I don't think they learned anything. I think they learned the wrong lesson. I'm scared that they learned the wrong lesson from Skyrim, is that dumbing it down is okay, and that somehow good is because it probably sold 5 times as many copies as Oblivion or something. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but it probably, I have no doubts that it sold a lot more than Oblivion and probably Morrowind put together. But your core fans were left with it was like, damn, I came to get steak and you gave me a dry ass cracker. It was a good looking cracker. It was a pretty wrapper, but it was an empty wrapper. The questing was meaningless. You know, if you go through Skyrim and you don't ever join the Mages Guild or the Thieves Guild for anything except for some gear, right? But if you don't join them, you don't gain or lose anything in the game. You can truly go and do anything anywhere and get the same amount as if whether you do it or not. But that's not a good thing. I want to have incentive to go explore. And at least Inquisition does have that. Why you hear one guy over here say it's a short game is because he didn't go into any of these optional areas and didn't hear 80% of the story. The one who says, I have got a 165-hour playthrough and I still haven't seen everything, probably went everywhere and missed a codex somewhere and didn't, you know, just knows in the back of their head there's got to be some little clue to the lore somewhere. And that's, you know, that's probably a diehard RPG fan talking there that wants to learn everything about the game, wants to explore the game world to its fullest. It's a whole different mindset. It's not better or worse, it's just different, you know? And that's kind of where I'm coming from. And if you give a lot of that, you may have a little bit smaller fan base, though I don't know. And, you know, I think one motive that I put forth in my videos is to introduce people to a style of gameplay and a style of gaming. You know, I mean, I cater obviously to RPG fans. That's what I do. That's what I concentrate on. That's my passion. That's my love. I'm not in, you know, you don't see me doing shooter games. You don't see me doing horror games, scare games, and all this and that. You see me doing this. This is my thing, you know. This is my little narrow niche right here. But I would hope that somebody could come along that's really not familiar with this and maybe see something fun or interesting and say, hey, there's a whole nother avenue that I maybe just wasn't aware of. Or there's a way to look at these games that you know, I hadn't really thought of before, and not to credit me or anybody else for it, but just to see the game in a new light and possibly enjoy it for themselves in a way that they might not have, not having really been aware that this whole style of gameplay, a way of looking at games, is really even out there. You know, some people are just new to it, and you know, I'm sure there's genres of games that I'm new to. I'm still totally clueless to Minecraft, but it's hugely popular. How could you be clueless? 700 billion people play it. Well, I am. I just, you know, haven't really looked that direction yet. But if I were to see it for what it is one day, get bored of what I'm doing, which isn't going to happen, but let's say it did, and I were to go investigate it and find it to be a lot of fun, that would be a new passion, and I would get into that. I would hope somebody would come along here the same way and say, hey, oh wow, RPGs, there's something to that. Oh shit, that has meaning. Oh wow, that story's cool. Oh wow, I didn't know that was there. Oh my god, I missed 90% of that game because I ran through the main story like, you know, with the blinders on like a bull through a china shop, just busting shit down and trying to get to the end. And that might be how you run through a map in Call of Duty. That's not the mindset to come into a game like this with, right? And it doesn't make, like I say, I want to emphasize, doesn't make one wrong. This isn't throwing a criticism out there on anybody. This is just saying, hey, it's a totally different thing. This isn't making nuclear bombs, and this isn't fixing a car. This isn't mechanic work. This is being a chef. You know, this is like a totally different genre here. It's a totally unique thing. If you go in with a different mindset, I think you might even be able to enjoy it if you stop, set back, and follow the pace of this game, which is set at a different pace than other genres of games, you know. But for the developers, trying to make one game that fits every genre is trying to make a country rap black metal song. You know what? You're gonna have a friggin' train wreck. It's gonna be a friggin' disaster. You're gonna have a fart. Might as well just fart in the mic and hope to sell that. Well, shit, I don't know. Maybe somebody would buy that nowadays, but still, you know, point made is, you know, don't. Just stick with what you do and do it really well. You know, you have us build our characters that way in the game. Pick a role and play that role really well to be really effective, to beat the game on its hardest settings. Okay, well, make your game the same way. You know, for the best developers, just do that. Just be a champ at what you do and be so exceedingly badass at it that even people who don't like that shit still have to respect it, right? And you may get some new players that way, rather than having to cater to commercial, you know, flare and all that. Anyway, all right, thanks for watching, guys. Listen to me blab. On the next one, we'll actually get into some Quarry stuff and go deal with the Red Templars. But till then, y'all take care. If you want to subscribe, hit that button over my head. All right, catch y'all later. Bye-bye.